Philip Seymour Hoffman was one of the greatest actors of his generation, a chameleon who could vanish into any role. But behind the genius was a darkness he battled for decades. Today, we're exploring the life and work of Philip Seymour Hoffman and the price he paid for his genius. Philip Seymour Hoffman was born on July 23, 1967 in Fairport, New York, a suburb of Rochester. He came from a solid, middle-class family. His father was a salesman for Xerox, and his mother, an elementary school teacher, later became a lawyer and eventually a family court judge. Unlike many of his peers who seemed destined for the stage from birth, Philip's early years were focused on athletics. He was a strong, stocky kid who excelled at wrestling and baseball and had little to no interest in the performing arts. However, a neck injury at the age of 14 abruptly ended his athletic career. With sports no longer an option, he embarked on a new path. It was his mother who encouraged him to try out for the school play. His first exposure to theatre had been at age 12, when his mother took him to see a production of Arthur Miller's All My Sons, a play about a family unable to escape the consequences of their past. Now, with a new girl he was interested in also involved in theatre, Philip auditioned for the school's next play, a production of MASH. He landed a small role as Radar, but the experience was a revelation. It was the beginning of a lifelong love affair with acting, a craft he would pursue with a passion that bordered on the obsessive. He immersed himself in his new passion, and his seriousness about his craft was evident even then. In the summer before his senior year of high school, he was accepted into the prestigious New York State Summer School of the Arts in Saratoga Springs. It was here that he met and befriended future collaborators and fellow artists, all of whom recognized his genuine and unwavering commitment to his work. After graduating high school, he applied to several drama programs and was accepted into New York University's Tisch School of the Arts. After graduating from NYU in 1989, Hoffman moved to Brooklyn. He took on a variety of odd jobs to make ends meet, working as a lifeguard, a waiter, and even at a deli counter. He auditioned for off-Broadway theatre roles, but his messy hair and pudgy appearance often worked against him. He finally landed his first screen role in a 1991 episode of Law & Order when he was 23, credited as Phil Hoffman. The turning point came with a small but memorable role in the 1992 film Scent of a Woman. He played a snooty, entitled private school student, a character he embodied with such compelling unctuousness that he got noticed. After 5 auditions, he landed the part, which he later said was instrumental in his career. He was now able to quit his deli job for good and dedicate himself to acting. Over the next few years, he worked consistently, appearing in films like My Boyfriend's Back, Nobody's Fool, where he played an uptight police deputy who gets punched by his idol Paul Newman, and the blockbuster Twister. He was building a reputation as a reliable and versatile character actor, but it was his collaboration with a new, young director named Paul Thomas Anderson that would truly propel him into the public eye. In Anderson's films, Hoffman found a home for his unique talent. He appeared in Boogie Nights as the shy and awkward boom mic operator Scotty J, then as the compassionate nurse Phil Palmer in Magnolia, and later in Punch Drunk Love as the eccentric mattress salesman Dean Trumbull.
Shut up. Will you shut up?
These roles, often quirky and emotionally complex, showcased his incredible range and his ability to make even the most unlikable characters sympathetic. late 1990s and 2000s were a period of immense success for Hoffman. He was a constant presence in both independent films and Hollywood blockbusters, earning a reputation for being one of the most dedicated actors in the business. He was known for his immersive approach to his craft, meticulously researching and inhabiting each character he played. He gained critical acclaim for his supporting roles in films like The Big Lebowski, The Talented Mr. Ripley, and Almost Famous. His talent was undeniable, but it was his leading role in the 2005 film Capote that cemented his status as a cinematic heavyweight. Hoffman's portrayal of author Truman Capote, complete with the writer's distinctive lisp and mannerisms, was a masterclass in acting. It was a career-defining performance that earned him the Academy Award for Best Actor. Following his Oscar win, the accolades continued to pour in. He received further Oscar nominations for his roles as a brutally honest CIA officer in Charlie Wilson's War, a priest accused of abuse in Doubt, and the charismatic cult leader Lancaster Dodd in The Master. He was also a celebrated stage actor and director, earning Tony Award nominations for his performances in the Broadway revivals of True West, Long Day's Journey into Night, and Death of a Salesman. While his professional life was soaring, Hoffman's personal life was also flourishing. He met costume designer Mimi O'Donnell on the set of a play he was directing in 1999. They had 3 children together and were partners for 14 years, though they were never married. O'Donnell later wrote about the profound love and devotion they shared, and the happiness they found in raising their children. But a dark cloud loomed over this domestic bliss. As a young man in his early 20s, Hoffman had struggled with drug and alcohol addiction. He told a friend that he first started with drinking, then moved on to MDMA, cocaine, and eventually heroin. But remarkably, he went to rehab at age 22 and achieved more than 2 decades of sobriety. For 23 years, he was clean, even as his fame and success grew to unimaginable heights. He told an interviewer he was grateful for his sobriety, but that he knew addiction was who he was, and it was a battle that was always just beneath the surface. In 2012, after starring in a grueling Broadway revival of Death of a Salesman, he relapsed and began drinking alcohol again. It was a slippery slope. His drinking quickly escalated and he began using prescription pills, which led to a devastating return to heroin use. O'Donnell, who was terrified, told him, "You're going to die." That's what happens with heroin. Despite her pleas and his own fears, the addiction took hold. In 2013, he voluntarily checked himself into a 10-day rehab program, but the stay was not enough to get him back on track. His use continued, and O'Donnell made the heartbreaking decision to ask him to move out of the family's apartment to a nearby one, hoping to shield their children from the escalating crisis. He continued to work, appearing in the Hunger Games, catching fire in one of his final roles, but his addiction was consuming him. In the last days of his life, he filmed scenes for the 3rd Hunger Games installment, and, according to O'Donnell, she had been expecting him to die since the day he started using again. But when it finally happened, it hit me with brutal force. On February 2nd, 2014, Phillip Seymour Hoffman was found dead in his apartment. He was 46 years old. A needle was in his arm, and an autopsy determined his cause of death was acute mixed drug intoxication, a toxic combination of heroin, cocaine, amphetamines, and benzodiazepines. The medical examiner ruled his death an accident. Philip Seymour Hoffman's death sent shockwaves through the acting world and beyond. The public was devastated to lose such a prodigious talent, and many were left wondering how a man who had been sober for so long could succumb so tragically. The answer, as his partner and friends explained, lies in the nature of addiction itself. When an addict relapses after a long period of abstinence, their tolerance for the drug has significantly decreased, making them far more vulnerable to a fatal overdose. The amount of heroin that Hoffman's body could have once tolerated was now a lethal dose. His death was a painful reminder that addiction is a chronic disease that can resurface even after many years of remission. Phillip Seymour Hoffman left behind a legacy of unforgettable performances. He was an actor of extraordinary power and sensitivity, a man who could command the screen with a quiet intensity that was all his own. He was the artist who once said that acting was about the torturous elements, the parts of human nature that are difficult to confront. In his short life, he fearlessly explored those parts of ourselves on screen and perhaps paid a heavy price for it off-screen. Thank you for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Phillip Seymour Hoffman and his incredible body of work in the comments, along with any suggestions for future videos. See you on the next one.